We finally going to get transparency on the potential involvement of UNC in the origins of COVID-19. I'm Stephen Horn, a local independent journalist here in North Carolina. Let's get into it. House Speaker Destin Hall, a Republican, issued a letter to UNC in his role as co-chair of the Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations, requesting records from UNC because the North Carolina General Assembly, the legislature here, has oversight over the University of North Carolina. It is a state school system. So they requested these records that had been sought by a medical watchdog group, US Right to Know, in their investigation into the origins of COVID-19. They had filed a lawsuit, which is currently in the appeals process, but now UNC will just have to hand those records over to this legislative commission. They also asked for all the records provided to congressional probes, as well as any other communications between the Barrick Lab and the Wuhan Institute of Virology, EcoHealth Alliance, or DARPA between 2018 and 2021. So according to the News and Observer, this is because one of Hall's staff members, quote, has a personal curiosity about the truth of what happened about what Barrick was researching and its relevance to COVID. We know that Professor Ralph Barrick, a famous coronavirologist over at UNC, he was in communication with the Wuhan Institute of Virology prior to when COVID-19 made its appearance in the world. In fact, he even worked with them to create a proposal for DARPA regarding bat coronavirus research called Project Diffuse. And this was referred to as a smoking gun when people came across this proposal. Hey, this research looks like exactly what could produce such a virus. Now, we're told that DARPA did not fund this Project Diffuse, but what is even more damning is that a draft version of this proposal was leaked, where the originators made it clear that they were misleading DARPA about where the research was actually going to be done. They would say, we're going to do this research at UNC, but once we get the money, we can do it for cheaper at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Following on with that, Barrick wrote a comment saying U.S. researchers would freak out. Those are the little words, freak out, if they knew that the research was being conducted at the biosafety level 2 labs in Wuhan as opposed to biosafety level 3 labs in UNC. But even with those biosafety level 3 labs, there is evidence that there has been viruses leaking out of UNC. ProPublica got reports, public records, that between January 1st, 2015 and June 1st, 2020, there were 6 lab accidents involving lab-created coronaviruses. And there's been evidence released just recently of 7 lab-acquired infections in Chapel Hill that involved viruses that were being studied at these labs at the University of North Carolina.